is what we're making today. Golden chicken burger. This is the KFC Big Crunch that I bought this afternoon. It's the sandwich that the golden chicken burger is based on. So what I'm going to do today is recreate this sandwich, but first we're going to dissect it. Here's the top bun, which has mayo and iceberg lettuce on it. And here's the chicken, which is honestly very plain. So from the looks of it, we got our buns with some mayo and lettuce on it, and our chicken. Now let's recreate it. First thing we're going to do is create a brioche bun. In a pot, we're going to add in water, milk, and bread flour. What we're doing here is creating a flour paste. Once everything's in the pot, we're going to turn the heat up and give it a mix. Within 30 seconds to a minute, you should get a flour paste like this. We're going to put this aside temporarily. Next, we're going to make a yeast mixture. In 120 grams of warm milk, we're going to dump in 9 grams of yeast. We're going to give this a mix and then set it aside for 10 minutes. In a stand mixer bowl, we're going to add in 325 grams of all-purpose flour, 7 grams of salt, and 35 grams of sugar. We're going to give this a good mix and then place it on a stand mixer with a dough hook attachment. After 10 minutes, the yeast should have frothed up. We're going to throw this in with our dry ingredients with a dough hook attachment on low speed. After 1 minute of mixing, we're going to throw in our flour paste and then mix for another minute. Then we're going to add in 1 egg plus 1 egg yolk and then mix for another 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, we're going to increase the speed slightly, and once our dough starts to smoothen out, we're going to throw in 42 grams of room temperature butter. We're going to knead this for 8 minutes. Once our dough is done, we're going to take a bowl and lightly grease it with oil. We're going to throw our dough in this bowl and cover it with a towel. We're going to proof this in the oven at 100 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. While we're waiting, we're going to make a mayo from scratch. In a bowl, we're going to add in 1 egg yolk, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then mix. Once everything's been combined, we're going to slowly drizzle in 250 milliliters of canola oil. Once you've added half the canola oil in, and it looks like the mayo has emulsified properly, you can just dump the rest of the oil in and then give it a really good whisk. We're going to give it a little taste, check for seasoning. If it needs more salt or lemon, just add it in. And if you want to make it spicy, you could add in some Tabasco or Sriracha. Once our mayo's done, we're going to cut up this iceberg lettuce. I know the game says cabbage, but when we broke down the KFC Big Crunch, they use iceberg lettuce, so that's what we're using. Also, they don't have lettuce in the game, so I think they're just using cabbage for all lettuces. This is a massive chicken breast that I bought at Walmart for $2.50. We're going to butterfly it. Make sure you don't cut all the way through because we want one whole round piece. And we're going to let that chicken marinate in buttermilk for 1 hour. This is our dough after 1 hour of proofing. It should have doubled in size. We're going to take the dough out of the bowl and then cut it. This recipe should yield 6 large brioche buns. I'm going to cut this dough into 6 portions, and each portion should weigh 120 grams. Once we portion them out, we're going to fold the dough like this to create a round dough. Once we've created a round dough, we're going to flip it and then drag it on the surface like this to close the pleats at the bottom and give you a round smooth surface like this. We're going to place the dough on a tray with parchment paper 6 inches apart and then lightly cover it with cling film. This will be proofed for 30 minutes or until it doubles in size. While we wait, we're going to make our Kfc breading. In 2 cups of flour, we're going to add in KFC's 11 herbs and spices. For the recipe for the 11 herbs and spices, you can either check my blog or Google it. Once we've given our flour mixture a good mix, we're going to take our chicken and bread it in the flour. We're not doing anything fancy here, we're simply taking the chicken out of the buttermilk and drenching it in flour. We're going to set this aside temporarily while we tend to our buns. After 30 minutes, your bun should have increased in size. We're going to brush it in egg wash, ensuring that we get the whole surface of the bun to give it that nice glow when it comes out of the oven. Once it's been egg washed thoroughly, we're going to throw it in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. While our buns are cooking, we're going to cook our chicken. We're going to throw it in the deep fryer at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, we're going to set the chicken aside and let it rest while we finish off our buns. After 15 minutes in the oven, these are our buns. We're going to let it rest for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, we're going to cut our buns in half. Realistically, we should have probably let this rest for 30 minutes before we cut into it, but YOLO. Look at how hot and steamy it still is. Now let's play. This is the KFC Big Crunch I bought 4 hours ago. Take a look at the difference in size. Here's my burger. Now that's a big crunch. I would prefer that my burger has some pickles and tomatoes, but we're copying this sandwich, so we're going with it. My mom always told me that if you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. But that big crunch sucks. Now let's try Genshin Impact's Golden Chicken Burger. Real talk, this is what a chicken burger should taste like. The bun is soft and buttery with a subtle hint of sweetness. It's not soggy and is holding everything inside firmly. The mayo is tangy from the lemon and Dijon mustard, which is cutting through the fat of the chicken really nicely. And as for the chicken itself, that's a real thick chicken breast, breaded properly. It's crispy, it's crunchy, and it packs a lot of flavor from the 11 herbs and spices. Did you guys know I paid $7.89 for this Big Crunch burger, while it only cost me $22 to make 4 large burgers? Anyways, that's it for this episode. If you guys like what you see, hit the like button. And if you guys have any suggestions on what I should cook next, please post in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys want to help support my recipes, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/chefmar.